Welcome to today's video on avoiding high-stakes immigration filing rejections, particularly for adjustment of status packages like the I-130 and I-485. We will explain why initial rejections happen, how they differ from denials, and the exact steps to resubmit correctly. Then, we will cover the non-negotiable sealed I-693 medical exam rule, share a comprehensive pre-flight checklist, and walk through the packet's journey using diagrams. Stay to the end for practical takeaways and quick quizzes to test your understanding. Now let's begin by clarifying what a rejection really means. In this agenda, we will move from definitions to actions. First, clarifying rejection versus denial. Then exploring timing and priority date consequences. Next, the immediate post-rejection steps. Then the correct resubmission protocol with the return notice, followed by the strict I-693 sealed envelope rule. Then a pre-flight checklist. And finally, fee-informed pitfalls, with helpful diagrams and a couple of short quizzes. Let's start with the definitions. A rejection occurs when the mailroom or intake unit refuses to accept your package because of a clerical or procedural problem. No case is opened, the clock does not start, and no priority date is established. A denial, by contrast, means the case was accepted and processed, but the decision was negative. This distinction is crucial. A rejection is about intake. A denial is about adjudication. Now that we have defined the terms, let's examine why rejections are so costly. The chief consequence of a rejection is the lost time. Because the intake never created a receipted case, your priority date and timelines for ancillary benefits such as work authorization do not begin. This can push back travel or employment plans and might interact negatively with status maintenance. Furthermore, repeated rejections increase costs and create risk of missing time-sensitive windows. With that urgency in mind, let's add a brief but important disclaimer. This video provides general educational information and is not legal advice. Immigration cases are fact-specific, and rules or procedures can change. For guidance on your particular situation, consult a qualified immigration attorney. With that foundation set, let's move to your immediate next steps after a rejection. First, locate and carefully read the rejection notice. This is often formatted like an I-797C and is your definitive guide to what went wrong. It may indicate a missing signature, incorrect fee, outdated form addition, or absent supporting documentation. Correct the specific issue identified. However, before resubmitting, perform a complete review to ensure no other component is missing. Rebuild the package cleanly with correct forms, fresh signatures if needed, appropriate fees, and supporting documents. Confirm the latest form additions and the exact fee total. Finally, set aside the original rejection notice for inclusion in the resubmission, because it helps the mailroom properly route your corrected packet. Next, let's see the resubmission protocol laid out on a timeline. Visualizing the process as a timeline. On day 0, you receive the return packet with the rejection notice. Within 1 day, identify the precise reason. Over the next 1 to 3 days, correct what the notice specifies, and re-review the entire packet. When you resubmit, place the original rejection notice on the top to signal that this is a corrected resubmission. Mail to the correct address using a trackable service, and include a brief cover letter noting the rejection reason and your correction. With the resubmission flow clear, let's address the most sensitive document in the packet: the medical exam. The I-693 medical examination has strict chain of custody requirements. It must be provided in a sealed envelope by an approved civil surgeon, with the surgeon's signature across the flap. If the envelope has been opened or becomes unsealed, it is invalid and cannot be reused. Submitting an opened or unsealed I-693 will almost certainly lead to another rejection. If this occurs, immediately request a replacement sealed copy from the civil surgeon, or schedule a new examination if necessary. Now, to reinforce understanding, let's do a quick quiz. Question: which statement best describes a rejection? Option A: USCIS processed your case and decided against you. Option B: USCIS refused intake due to a clerical or procedural issue, so the clock never started. Option C: USCIS approved your case but needs updated biometrics. Option D: your priority date is preserved even if intake was refused. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is that a rejection occurs when USCIS refuses intake due to a clerical or procedural issue, so the case clock and priority date never started. It is not a decision on the merits. Use this checklist before every submission. Confirm all required wet signatures and dates. Download and use the latest form editions from the official source. Complete all mandatory fields. Inserting N/A or none as required to avoid blank mandatory responses. Calculate the exact fee and ensure the payee is listed as U.S. Department of Homeland Security. Use the payment method permitted by the instructions, whether check, money order, or a properly completed card authorization. Include identity, relationship, and status evidence as applicable. Verify the I-693 is sealed and signed across the flap by the civil surgeon. Organize with tabs and a brief cover letter, and place the original rejection notice on top if this is a resubmission. Finally, keep a full copy of what you send for your records. Next, we will focus more specifically on fees and forms, since they cause many rejections. Fee and form errors are among the most common rejection triggers. Always verify the current total fee as of the day you mail the packet. For checks or money orders, write the payee exactly as U.S. Department of Homeland Security, without abbreviations. If using a card authorization form, ensure it is the correct edition and that names, addresses, and signatures match precisely. Confirm each form edition date is current. Finally, avoid leaving required fields blank. Use N/A where appropriate according to the instructions. Next, let's visualize how a packet moves from you to adjudication and where rejections occur. This sequence diagram shows the packet's journey. You send your AOS packet through a courier to the USCIS lockbox. At intake, if there is an error such as missing signatures, wrong fees, or outdated forms, the package is rejected and returned with a notice. If you correct the errors and include the original rejection notice, the mailroom can quickly route your resubmission, and you should receive an I-797C receipt notice establishing your priority date. The case then moves to the adjudicator, who may issue a request for evidence or a decision later. If the resubmission remains flawed, a second rejection can occur. With this flow in mind, let's validate your understanding with one more quiz. Question: what must you do if your I-693 envelope was opened? Option A: tape it closed and send it back to save time. Option B: reuse it as long as the pages are intact. Option C: request a sealed replacement from the civil surgeon or get a new exam. Option D: email a photo of the opened I-693 to USCIS for approval. You may pause the video now to think about the answer. We will discuss the answer in the next section of the video. The correct answer is to request a sealed replacement from the civil surgeon or obtain a new examination. An opened or unsealed I-693 cannot be reused and will likely cause another rejection. These are the main points to remember. A rejection is an intake failure, not a merits decision. Time matters, because the clock and priority date do not start until acceptance. Fix the issue called out by the notice and recheck the entire packet. Include the original rejection notice when resubmitting. The I-693 must be sealed and signed across the flap. Any opened envelope must be replaced. Finally, apply a thorough pre-flight checklist every time. We reviewed the difference between rejections and denials, emphasized the urgency and precision required after a rejection, described why the original rejection notice must be included in a resubmission, and highlighted the uncompromising I-693 sealing rule. We also provided a checklist to help you prevent avoidable delays. To close, we will offer a final message and invitation. Thank you for watching. If this video helped you, please like, share, and subscribe. We would love to hear what issues you have encountered or what strategies have helped you succeed. Share your questions and experiences in the comments so others can learn as well.